You're not gonna like explain the premise of what we're doing.
No, it's gonna be in the title. It's just gonna be in the title. The title will explain all the premise you need.
This is gonna be so dumb.
Hold on, how do you change the size? Alright, you know what? We'll just zoom in. We're gonna start in the grand year of 1945.
Not read what that says.
Oh yeah, I'll narrate over it.
1945.
1945. Okay. This is where it starts. Just after World War II. Europe. Here. This is Europe. You got Europe, and then over here somewhere abouts is like Germany. All right, and then Germany actually used to own a lot more.
I know,
but it needed,
how World War II happened.
Yeah, it's got to get split up. Now you see, we got Russia over here, big Russia, and then you got like the UK and stuff over here, and the UK and America's all the way over.
That's not a good America.
Over here. We got the United States. This is Canada, it doesn't matter, but we got the United States of America. What happens is they and a bunch of other countries form NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
How does this link to Five Nights at Freddy's?
You gotta come with me on this one, okay? You gotta understand the backstory. And so you see, NATO is busy giving these tiny countries all their stuff. But then over here, you got the Soviet Union, busy trying to claim just all of Europe. And so they go, because of their political differences, you know, communism and capitalism, they don't like each other very much. And so that leads to a period of tension known as the Cold War, where primarily between Russia, the Soviet Union, and the United States, there's a lot of unhappiness going on, a lot of really grumpy stuff. One of the main factors of this is espionage, because during World War II, something called the atomic bomb was invented, and that makes big boom. And so people don't want this to happen, because if someone fired a nuke, everyone's gonna die, because everyone's gonna fire nukes. And so they need to spy on each other to see what each other's doing to ensure the other one doesn't attack. And so, you know, they send in like super secret spies and stuff. Russia was working on a top secret project to create these robotic performers who would, you know, perform. America loves its entertainment. And so it like, you got these singing robotic things. At the drop of a hat, the sleeper agent could give a signal, and then next thing you know, what's he got? He starts attacking. And then this microphone is actually a child that he's strangling. At the drop of a hat, these sleeper agents could engage and tear America apart from the inside out. One way they accomplished this was using a little something called illusion discs. Now what these are is essentially they alter the way you see something. So say you take this scary face with sharp teeth, you put an illusion disc on it, and you can make it into a happy face that's totally normal. And so that's what they would use on these to disguise these animatronics and infiltrate America. Now they sent hundreds of these over there and tons of illusion discs, but unfortunately for the Russians, in 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed before this project could properly take off. So now we have a ton of those animatronics scattered about the United States along with illusion discs. Now, the majority of these were indeed taken back by the Soviet Union, but there were some still left in the United States. This brings us to the 1970s, where two gents by the name Henry Emily
Why does he have 2 first names?
Right, that's what I've been saying. And then William Afton, best buddies. And they want
It's the purple guy.
yeah. What they want to do, like they see these giants in industry, like these 2 guys made Pizza Hut, and then like these other few guys made like that's a burger. So they wanted to make their own restaurant, and so they're thinking of how to do this. How do we make our own restaurant? Now these 2 are both mechanics. They like to tinker with things, They're really good with mechanics. And so they frequently, in their hometown of Utah, Hurricane Utah. That's the name of that's their hometown. And they go to the junkyard, and that, my friends, is where they find just stuff to tinker with, all sorts of broken stuff. But eventually, they find in the trunk of an old beat-up car, they find something they don't know in the trunk. They seem to be some sort of discs. What are these, they wonder? And then they wonder if they could create some sort of mechanical thingamabob to put the discs in, that maybe they would be able to program some stuff into it and maybe make robotic performers for their restaurant. And so that's what they set on doing. For the next few years, they worked on making these. They created Fredbear. Imagine this guy, but like clean and with eyeballs. That's Fredbear. They made this guy, and then they also made, oh boy, they made this guy, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, the 2 main characters of their in their restaurant. And so Fredbear would obviously be the face, Spring Bonnie would be the sidekick. Now, how they designed these is, strangely enough, these strange discs already had party time programming in them. They designed it to be both a robot and a suit that you could wear. And that's where they came up with the idea of spring lock suits, which has spring locks that keep the I'm trying to think of how to draw this. I'm not a very creative drawer. You got all these metal parts, right, in the suit. And there's these spring locks that kind of keep them off to the side, away from where you're gonna be.
Okay, so it makes room for the person in the suit.
Yes.
Okay.
However, these are very sensitive. So like moisture,
I already see where this is going.
Or like, bumping or anything could happen to break those. Anyways, things were going well. They made a good diner. People were flocking around to Fredbear's Family Diner. That's what it was called. And then one day, William's son.
Why is he purple?
Ignore all this.
Is he the purple guy?
This is for later.
What
Ignore.
Is that?
I want you to ignore everything else except for this. So, imagine this guy, but a child. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So this guy, he took his brother, Mr. Crying Child. No one really knows his name. All we know is that he is Crying Child. Okay, Crying Child. Okay, well, we got Crying Child. Okay, this is. Both of these are William Afton's sons. Now, Michael, he liked to pick on his little brother. Now, one day, he liked to mess with him with the animatronics because he's terrified of these animatronics. He doesn't like them at all. And so he likes to dress up as scary monsters and whatnot and scare his brother. And so one day, we got Michael, and then we got some other people, and they all conga line carry the Crying Child, and they take him up to Mr. Fredbear, who's singing on stage.
I do know what this is because I have seen the meme, but
yeah. So he carries him up to the stage, And then they're like, oh, look, he wants to give him a kiss. And puts him in his mouth. Haha, so funny. Just a prank, bro. But then, skerflunk. Skablam.
Was that the bite of 87?
Was that the bite of 87?
Yes. But this actually happened in 1983.
Oh.
And this is when we move back over to our main man, William. So he's really distraught by this. You know, it turns out seeing your son get maunched by a bear is pretty disturbing.
Especially if you made it.
Yeah. And so therefore he started spending a lot more time in the Springtrap suit. And like and then he's a lot more time in the Spring Bonnie suit.
Okay.
Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself there. And and then, you know, he started liking it. He started really liking wearing it, and he almost didn't ever take it off. And then
so he's a
yeah, pretty much. And then one day, you know, he does take it off when he leaves the restaurant and whatnot. But like, you know, one day he's kind of hungry. He kind of gets the grumbles in his tummy. And so, actually, hold on. I need to back up a bit before this. Before this,
oh my God. Okay.
he gets hungry sometimes, and he goes out to eat fast food. But a couple days before the main fast food, right? He taught Henry's like, hey, I need oh boy, I need $5. I need $5. And he's like, sure, because he's a good friend. He gives him some of that money, the $5. Anyways, now we fast forward to when he starts getting hungry. So he goes to a restaurant, right? And, you know, the order there is $5. This is a couple days later, and he's only got a $20 bill. And this is at the end of a long day. He doesn't want to deal with freaking change right now. He's so upset. And then this dirtbag hasn't paid him back his $5 yet. So he freaking marches his butt back to the restaurant. He walks back over there, and he sees that outside the door, it's locked, but there's still people inside.
Why is it locked if there's people inside?
Because some idiot kids inside were little sausages and were rude, and just like, because there is a child outside who is Henry's daughter, Charlotte, trying to get in. And so she's trying to get in, and William Afton pulls up in his purple Chevy Impala, and he sees this, and he tries to help, right? He tries to, you know, go over there and be a good person and help her in. But he's filled with so much anger and hate in his eyes that upon her making direct eye contact with him, she immediately dies. And so he gets kind of freaked out that he just killed someone. So he picks up her body, puts her in the trunk of his car. He drives to the alley, and he puts her between some trash cans in the alley.
Damn.
And so there she is.
That's wild.
She's dead. Now, inside, there's another character. Now, you see, you can't just run a restaurant like this without some security. So, a little character called Security Puppet. There we go. There he is. We got Security Puppet, right? So, he's given security at the place. And he sees this all happen, right? He's like, whoa, what happened? And so he goes outside and goes out to the alley. But it's raining out. It's raining. And he's a robot, so he doesn't do very well with rain. And so he crawls over here and gets all beat up. And he gets all broken down, and then he like crawls on top of her to give her protection. And then he breaks. But her soul goes into him. And she possesses Security Puppet. Now, this is very important, right? This will come in very handy later.
I'm sure it will.
Now, William was busy processing what just happened as he was driving away. And he's like, wait a second, I have the power to stare people to death. And so he goes to enact revenge against Henry for not giving him his $5. So he drives back around to the restaurant. He circles back. And he goes back inside. He puts on his Spring Bonnie suit. He puts this back on.
Okay.
He lures 4 children. He lures 4 children into a back room of the restaurant. And he closes the door and he death stares all of them. Now, in the back, they've been experimenting with some new animatronic designs. Because, you know, you got to keep the business fresh. And this is where our titular characters of Bonnie, yep, Bonnie, Chica, this Chica right here, Freddy,
Krabby.
this guy, and Foxy. They were all kind of chilling out here. And so he shoves the bodies inside the animatronics so they won't get found. That's what he does.
Okay.
And what happens is each 4 of the children possess the animatronics. And so a couple days later, you know, Henry is freaking freaked out. His daughter's gone. He doesn't know where the heck she is. And then all the animatronics start acting really weird. And William, because he knows what happened, starts putting things together and is like, hold on, wait a second. These are possessed by the children. And then he's like, hold on, I have a brilliant idea. You see, this is when he does some research and he discovers a little something something called remnant. Now, remnant is just basically the leftover parts of a soul after it dies. And that's how these souls possess the animatronics.
So have we gotten to like any of the actual games yet?
Well, actually, no. Technically, we've done FNAF 4 because the kid got his head bit off. So yeah, this was
What happened to the first 3?
FNAF 4 takes place before them.
But it's the 4th one.
Yeah, they weren't released in chronological order. Anyways, remnant is the leftover things, and he figures if he collects enough of this, he could become immortal, right? And so he goes back to the restaurant, and he freaking finds 2 more kids, lures them back, and kills them. But then he's like, wait a second, I don't have anywhere to hide these bodies. The only thing left in the storage room now is Golden Freddy. So he just shoves both of them into Freddy. Calls it a day. Anyways, now all the animatronics are possessed. And so William, you know, he wants to keep doing this. And then eventually, somewhere along the line, the bite of 87 happens. Because we now move on a couple years to 1987. They closed the old Fredbear's Family Diner, right? Because so many murders, you just can't do it.
Yeah.
They took all the old animatronics, who stink, by the way, but it doesn't matter. That's fine. They took all the old animatronics, and they kind of just shoved them in a storage closet and locked it. You know, you don't need them. You don't need them. They locked them in there. However, so they opened a brand new restaurant, you know, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, under a new title. And then this is when we get into FNAF 2.
Okay.
This is FNAF 2 territory, and this is when we get.
Did we skip over FNAF 1?
No, FNAF 1's coming up.
Why does it go FNAF 4 and then FNAF 2?
Because that's just the way it happens, okay? Okay, so we got Toy Freddy. We got this man. He's the main character. They're all shiny and glossy now, you know? We got Toy Chica. Very nice, you know, brand.
What the
I want you to not pay attention to anything else except for this, okay? Just bam. Check. Again, don't
covering my screen.
Yeah. Now, this is what she's supposed to look like. But
Ew.
what they were trying to do here is they were trying to make like an animatronic for the kids. But the kids kept taking her apart and putting her back together, and so
Do these kids have engineering degrees?
Listen, man, I don't know. I don't ask what these kids are doing in Utah, man. But anyways, so eventually the maintenance staff just got tired of it, and it's like, you know what, fine, let the kids do what they want. And so eventually this turned into this because they just couldn't be bothered. And so now we have our main characters. We have Security Puppet, who's also here. He's just in a box, possessed, locked behind a cabinet, or behind a counter. He's behind a counter, sitting in a box, doesn't come out very much. And then you got, you know, the toy animatronics performing on stage. You have the old animatronics, which are now called withered animatronics. Yeah, this guy, this is the original Freddy, just busted up, you know. Man withered Freddy. That's not what I meant to say. Bonnie. Bam. That's him. Withered.
It's Toilet Bonnie.
Yeah. Watermelon Chica. Well, not Watermelon Chica yet, but she eventually becomes that. Anyways.
There's a Watermelon Chica.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Are we getting Blueberry Bonnie too?
No, that hasn't happened yet. We only have Grape Springtrap, but we'll get to that. That's a ways down the line. That's a ways down the line. Then we got Withered Foxy. Looks pretty much the same from normal.
Yeah, I don't see a difference.
Okay, so you got all the withered animatronics in the back, and those ones are possessed. These new ones, are just messing with the night guard. They just like messing around. And then you also have the little turd himself. What? Okay, ignore that. We got this little guy who's just annoying, and hey, everybody hates him. He's not even possessed. He's just annoying. Okay, there's 3 types of animatronics. There's possessed, the annoying ones who are just there to mess with you, and then there's the normal animatronics. You know? Pam.
I thought all of them were possessed.
They're not all possessed. They're not all possessed. Some of them...
We need more dead kids in this franchise.
Oh, you're gonna get some. Don't you worry. Okay, so we got Freddy 2, and then this is where the bite of 87 happened, where the night guard's head was freaking eaten. Yeah, so this location also isn't working out. Bad stuff's going on. They close it down, man. They just can't keep working. So then they decide, hey, we got these old withered characters, right?
How are these guys not shut down yet?
They have the best lawyers you could dream of.
There's so many dead people.
They have the best lawyers you could ever imagine.
This company has more skeletons in its closets than alive employees.
Yeah. But like, also William was fired because he murdered people, and so he's on his own now. He didn't
go to jail. He got fired.
Yeah, he's busy trying to think of a way to get more remnant. Without having to
not go to jail.
Go up because no one had enough evidence, and also he's also
How
got.
did he get fired if there was no evidence?
Because this guy knew, Henry knew, but he didn't want to like
report him to the police for killing like 6 children.
But he's his best friend, man. He doesn't want to like do that.
He killed 6 children.
It's fine. Technically, they're not dead yet. They're still at the animatronics, so they're still here.
Pretty sure they're dead.
Anyways, moving forward, so William's busy scheming, right? How can he get more children to get more remnant so that he could become immortal? As he's thinking, he comes up with a brilliant idea. And this is when we get to FNAF's sister location. You know, where essentially he designs... Oh, this is also where FNAF AR comes in. Technically, it's FNAF AR...
There's an AR game?
Yes. Okay, so we got... Okay, this is really good. This is just all the characters from FNAF. Well, not even close to all the characters, but most of them. So he like...
I'm sorry, is that Statue of Liberty Chica?
It is. Okay, so...
What the is this game?
Okay, these characters are less canon, okay? These are more... Okay, so technically FNAF AR in and of itself is not canon. But
they're clearly canon.
But
in the picture,
William Afton did have a thing where he delivered animatronics to people's doors, but that never quite panned out. So he never really did that. It never quite. So instead, he created Sister Location. You know, the sister location to Fazbear Entertainment, right? As it's now in a downward spiral because people don't want to go to a place that has this much murder. He creates a sister location, and he creates multiple animatronics. But he created Circus Baby, right? And then he created this one. Now this one is possessed by William Afton's wife because
he killed his wife.
No, what happened is William Afton's wife always was an accountant, but she always wanted to be a ballerina dancer, and her husband always said that her dancing sucked, and so she killed herself to possess this dancing robot and constantly dance around him while he worked. Anyways.
Okay.
And then also, William Afton had a daughter named Elizabeth who got freaking killed by Circus Baby, and so she possessed Circus Baby, but we'll get to that in a second. He also made this one, Funtime Foxy, pretty sweet.
Is that not just the one from earlier?
No, this is like Mangle, but like reimagined. Animatronics in sister location, in a sister location. This Mr. Man here had Michael, his son, who's still around. Not this one, the one that threw his brother into the mouth. He has him work here.
The only one who's not dead.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he had him actually like tormented by animatronic nightmares for a while. The same his brother had, because technically all the animatronic encounters in FNAF 4 were nightmares.
Of course they were.
And so...
it was all a dream, pop out.
Yeah, and so... But this was actually engineered by Mr. Afton here to... And then he also did it to his other son, Michael, after the brother got his head chomped, because he wanted Michael to train to understand how to defend himself from animatronics so that he could work with a different last name for Henry to spy on what he was doing. And so in the beginning part of FNAF 2, and then also in FNAF 1, you play as Mr. Michael Schmidt. And then that's also where FNAF 1 kind of makes an appearance of him dealing with these animatronics, the withered ones, kind of brought back to life. And that's where the regular characters come in. And so he does that. He completes his shift there, reports back to William that, yep, they're all possessed. And he's like, we gotta take care of that. But first, sister location. And he works on this to frickin'... Alright, you see that claw? Ignore this. See that claw? That's in there. That's in her stomach. And so it's meant to, quote-unquote, serve ice cream. But really what happened is frickin'...
I'm sorry. That claw.
Yeah.
Serve ice cream.
Yeah. But really what it's supposed to do is capture children to eat them and take their remnant. Now, Elizabeth really wanted to see this animatronic because apparently, Afton made it after her, after her likeness. But, it was designed to eat children, so she got chomped. Now William is just trying to deal with his sister location, now also having animatronics that are possessed now. And so he's like, how on earth are we going to deal with this? And so he sends his son Michael in to go frickin' see if Baby's still there and, stop her or whatever. And then so then the events of the actual game take place, where Michael has to survive there. And then we meet a new character by the name of Ennard. Now, essentially, Ennard is, all throughout the game, the animatronics go to somewhere called the scooping room.
I'm sorry. No, go back real quick.
Oh, no.
Why was one of those pictures censored?
Do we want to know? I don't think we do. And that's why he looks like this, is because they scoop out his organs, go inside of him, and then over the coming days, he kind of rots, and then he vomits up the animatronics, and they all look like this.
Okay.
And then
so that's Ennard.
Yes, and also all the other animatronics, and then also the FNAF 1 animatronics get kind of put into this as well, hence how he got bigger. So they all become part of this giant amalgamation, right? So it's all in Molten Freddy. We've got Molten Freddy, and then...
Which is everyone.
Pretty much, but we have Circus Baby who didn't get put into Entered, right? She's still here, and so she's called Scrap Baby now. And so this is her now. She's outfitted herself with the claw to do the murder. Oh, I forgot to mention FNAF 3 that's also been happening. While all this was while all this with Sister Location has been happening, William Afton has been trying to kill more kids, and eventually he went back to the now closed the third restaurant they've opened, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, and this is where FNAF 1 took place. And so William Afton comes over here because he wants to like kill more kids, but the souls of the animatronics aren't having it anymore, and they scare him to get into his suit, and he's like, "Ha ha, I'm in my suit now." And then he laughs, and he sheds a little tear when he laughs, and it lands on the spring locks, and the spring locks activate and skabloosh, and then he gets squished, and all of his organs get flicking kablooshed. But by the power of Remnant, plot armor, and his own sheer will, he becomes this guy in FNAF 3.
Okay.
And eventually he kills the night guard in FNAF 3, burns the location to the ground, and becomes Peanut Afton, aka Scrap Trap.
Okay.
And so now we have this guy.
This is really hard to follow, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Don't worry, questions will come later, and it'll only get harder from here. And then we also have one more animatronic called Lefty. Remember the puppet?
Vaguely.
The security puppet.
Yeah.
So
it's the one that the one guy's child is in.
Yes, and so essentially he wanted to create an animatronic, Henry did, to capture his daughter, who is possessed in this animatronic. Now, essentially, this guy, his Lefty is an acronym. It stands for Lure, Encapsulate, Fuse, Transport, and then it technically is supposed to end with an E, Extract. And so he turns into an extraction shooter, captures the puppet, but guess what? The puppet's like, ha, joke's on you, now I control an even bigger body. And so he's being controlled by the puppet, which is being controlled by Charlotte. And so now that's our 4 animatronics. We got Molten Freddy, we got Peanut Afton, that's a peanut. We got Scrap Baby, and then we have Lefty. Boom. And those are our animatronics. And then we go to Pizzeria Simulator. Now, essentially Michael Afton was, after he puked up Molten Freddy, or like entered, puked them up, there was like a voice of Baby telling him that he won't die, and then he came back to life because the power of determination and the human soul, as Undertale clearly explained. So he came back,
obviously,
and so he put on some clothes, took a shower. He still looks purple. He has no organs, but he's still alive, and he also stinks. But anyways, he goes to start a restaurant, another Fazbear Entertainment restaurant, and secretly, this whole time, Henry has been setting up this restaurant because he wants to get these 4 animatronics in one place to destroy them, so that it can finally be over, so that this whole series, all this trouble and torment, could finally be ended. He lures them all into one place, and the events of Pizzeria Simulator happen, and in the end, we have Michael Afton, William Afton, the Baby, Molten Freddy, and Lefty all in one place, and the place burns to the ground. And Henry's also in there somewhere. So they all get burnt to the ground. Because he wants to end himself while doing this. He wants to put an end to everything. And so, yes.
So now that all the main characters are dead, it's over, right? We're done here.
Well, you would say that, and then a little studio by the name of Steel Wool came along, and we start up. But we're going to take a quick break. Collect your thoughts, ask questions.
I don't have any thoughts. Pretty sure I fell asleep 20 minutes ago, and this has all been a fever dream.
The good news is Pizza Sim is like a good refresh point, you know? Everyone's dead, and it's all consolidated now.
Okay,
for the most part.
So we're like 3/4 of the way done?
Halfway. Technically, the events of Ultimate Custom Night happen, but that's just a never-ending nightmare that William Afton is stuck in, of just like constantly replaying like a night against impossible animatronics over and over again. Now we get to Help Wanted, the first VR FNAF game. And so essentially what happens is we got Fazbear Entertainment is under new management. Henry's gone, and now we got a new business, new Mr. Capitalist man. He likes his money, so he wants to keep Fazbear Entertainment going. So, what he does is he wants to make a VR game about all of these events to, like, make like, hey guys, technically some of this stuff happened, but it's mostly conspiracy. We're gonna make a game that trivializes all of it so you all can get off our backs and stop treating us like we're some dangerous place to be and not a great place for families and children. And so they made a VR horror game.
Wait, so it's a VR game
Uh-huh.
that was made in the
Universe.
They went meta?
Yes, they went meta.
That's so strange.
Okay, so what happens is we got development team numero uno, and we got our two main characters of this development team. We got someone named Jeremy.
Okay.
Jeremy has seen some things. We have a woman affectuately named Tape Girl, because she only appears on tapes found in the VR game. So we have Tape Girl and Jeremy. So essentially, the story goes is that as they were making this VR game, a mysterious stranger approached them with old, busted up disk drives that were supposed to contain code that like could help them make path findings and animations and stuff in the game faster. So they're like, that's a great idea. Let's do that. That can't be malware or anything. And so essentially, they implemented it. But then they started seeing this mysterious person appear. This man start appearing in the game. And this lady tried to delete him.
I'm not even gonna ask why that was there.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, the FNAF community is a little interesting. But essentially, she tried to delete him, but every time she did, he just like moved somewhere else in the files. So she's like, man, this is really bad. Now, as they were testing the game, like this glitch trap was doing terrible things to Jeremy's mind, and was freaking him, causing him to go insane, to the point where he literally just took a frickin' guillotine paper slicer and frickin', you know, like
used behead on himself.
He used behead. Management sees Jeremy frickin' behead, and they're like, man, that sucks. We should move this over to another development team, one that's more mentally stable. And so this lady wants to let the other development team know about the weird stuff going on in the files. And so she records these tapes to put all throughout the game that only beta testers would find. And she essentially says that there's
just like call the other team.
Well, like management,
Like
she'd already tried to talk to management, but management's like, listen, if you keep complaining,
ignore management, just go to the developer team.
Listen, man, this is a horror game. People don't think. But also, there's like, you know, she's got to say, like, in a way that they'd believe her, because they wouldn't believe her otherwise. Anyways, so what she does is she records these tapes, and she essentially says, okay, there's this evil bunny man, who's tormenting the game files, and the only way to get rid of him is to, like, flip switches in the main menu in a certain way when he tries to fuse with your mind. Because he tries to do that. That's how he killed Jeremy, because he fused with his mind and was like, behead. And he's like, blah. And so she's like, you gotta fight back. You gotta flip the switches and terminate the thing before he kills you. And so then the second development team come in. And this lady disappears due to the terminal illness of irrelevant character disorder. And then we got ourselves our new main character of Five Nights at Freddy's, ladies and gentlemen. And it's none other than the one, the only, Vanessa. So she
I have no idea what you just said.
The one, the only Vanessa.
Hello?
Vanessa. Vanessa.
Okay.
Okay. And she's a part of the second development team. So she starts beta testing. And she starts seeing this guy around. And she eventually finds out what she needs to do. But, Tape Lady gave her wrong advice. You're not supposed to flip the levers in the order she said. You're supposed to flip it in the opposite order of what she said. And so, Mr. Glitchtrap ends up infusing with her mind. And instead of killing her, he's like, wait a second, you'll do perfectly. And he's like, okay, so, let me explain some things. And we go back to management. They're thinking, alright, what's the next big Freddy Fazbear's restaurant? And they've experimented with an idea called the Mega Pizzaplex.
Oh God. Going into security breach.
They originally created Freddy Fazbear's Pizzaplex, but too many people died, so that didn't work out. So they got like the Mark 1 in like the 90s, or like the 80s, or like more like the 90s. Too many people died, couldn't do that one. They made the Mark II, Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex.
Okay.
But then too many people died, didn't work out. So then around like 2020, they made Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex Mark II. Pretty much the exact same as this one, but with less stuff, so people will be less likely to die. And that is where Vanessa is told to go. It's still under construction, but she's told, like, by Glitchtrap, hey, you gotta rebuild me in a physical form again. Me, William Afton, you gotta rebuild. And she's like, okay, sure thing. She adopts a persona, becomes Vanny.
Okay.
Bam. This guy starts working on building Peepaw. She goes there, and while it's under construction, she goes to the basement. They actually built the Mega Pizzaplex on top of the Pizzeria Simulator location because, you know, they still own the property, so it just saved money. And so she was able to get the old Scrap Trap parts and put them together to make Peepaw Afton. Now we're gonna do a bit of a cutaway, okay? Because we can't go into Pizzeria Simulator yet without talking about its main character, and that is.
Do Pizzeria Simulator?
I mean, Security Breach.
Okay.
Without talking about its main character, Grigori. Now you see, going back to our conversations about the Cold War. You see, these illusion discs and whatnot were scattered about, right? And this is when we come across a character by the name of Edwin, right? Edwin Murray is his name.
My name is Edwin. I made the mimic.
Yes, and
It's difficult to put the pieces together.
he worked on building new ideas for. He wanted. His job was to create new animatronic designs for Fazbear Entertainment. Now, his wife died of irrelevancy, and so he's got his son with him. This little runt kid who runs around the factory with nothing to do, and goes freaking. He's annoying. And so, yes, his name is David. That is his name. And he wants some ice cream. But, so, he needs to make something to entertain him. So he makes something that's both good for his son and the company, and that is something called the Mimic. It essentially mimics whatever it sees. So, like, he programs it to mimic what his son does. Like play, and so he can play around with him. And he could also do this to like mimic like showtime routines for the company. But one day David gets like beamed by a semi-truck going 65 miles an hour. and he gets gone. And so you got this little mimic guy still mimicking the sun, like playing around and stuff. And this guy gets really upset at that. And so he takes a metal pipe and beats the crap out of the mimic. Now, and then eventually he leaves the warehouse to work for an executive job at Fazbear Entertainment. And eventually he dies because he gets stuck in a tree. But that's not important to the story. Now the mimic is still sitting in this abandoned warehouse, now infused with the idea of hate, violence, and death. And so multiple, like, Fazbear teams try to come in and get him, but they all end up failing and dying, until eventually one team does, in fact, manage to get him. And then the mimic is taken over to the new Mega Pizzaplex to be used possibly as one of the glam rock animatronics, which I'll talk about in a second. But here's the thing, right? So we got all these construction workers working on the new Pizzaplex. You got this one worker, right? And he's pretty good with technology. And in the depths underneath the Mega Pizzaplex, where there's, like, you know, the old pizzeria simulator building that they're building over, that they're gonna turn into like a museum. But there's all these, like, old endoskeletons and whatnot down there that need to be, like, taken apart, and that's, like, really hard work. And so he sees this delivery of this weird looking robot, and he's like, hey, I'm pretty good at programming. I can make this thing programmed to remove the arms and legs of all the endoskeletons. So he does that. He types this into a computer, and he programs it, and it starts doing it. It goes to the endoskeletons and starts ripping up the legs and the arms. But then it starts moving to the construction workers and starts ripping off their legs and arms because it got a misunderstanding. And so then construction workers try to run out, and then they say, just seal the hole, seal it up. And so they seal the mimic into the pizza place to be locked underground. And it's not their problem anymore, out of sight, out of mind. Now we're gonna cut back to Gregory, because Gregory is the son of two FSB agents sent from Russia to retrieve these illusion discs, right? He sent like these two people. Now they fall in love with each other, and as I explained in my video, they're not supposed to, but they do. And so, like, you know, the Russian government's like, so long as your child becomes an agent, then it's okay. And so Gregory was trained to be an agent for the FSV. Hence why I call him Grigori. Eventually, he's sent in he's already scouted out the Mega Pizzaplex. You know, fast forwarding a few years into the future when it's actually completed. He's scouted out it a bit before. And he does so by making friends with one of the town residents. Someone by the name of Cassie. Yes. He makes friends with her. And he frequently takes her to the Mega Pizzaplex to, you know, mess around in the building when it's closed. They do that, and that's how they became friends. But Gregory likes to mess with the animatronics programming. And that's because he's trying to exploit weaknesses in the building's security system so that he could get down to the basement to where they found a hot tip about illusion discs still being used. Hence the mimic. He's trying to find the mimic. That's why he's in the Mega Pizzaplex to begin with in Security Breach. Why he's inside of Freddy. And that's also why he was tampering with the code so he could get inside of Freddy to hide until the building was closed. And then now we move on to Security Breach, where we have our good friend Glamrock Freddy. Yes, very nice.
Why is it censored?
Oh, very interesting site. We got a Glamrock Chica. Yes, here. Montgomery Gator. And you know what Roxanne Wolf looks like. We don't have to look that up, right?
I believe so.
Okay, perfect. So there's the main 4 there. And so, hence the events of Security Breach happen. Vanessa, working for Mr. William Afton, thinks that Gregory is coming to get William. But that's not what he's doing, right? He's not trying to do that. He's trying to get the Mimic. But Vanessa tries to stop him and kill him regardless. But eventually, Gregory breaches past her, freaking blows up William Afton. Technically, Molten Freddy has now combined with Lefty and Circus Baby to form an even bigger spaghetti pile. And so the blob eats William Afton.
Starting to see a pattern here.
Yes. Moving forward. Oh, there's the brush sizes. Anyways. So we got Gregory, after making it past William Afton, goes down to the basement to find this guy. And this is when Gregory and a couple of his FSB friends make Mexus. This thing to lock the Mimic inside because it's too powerful. It's just too powerful. And so he has to lock the Mimic inside this bottom of the building forever and ever. And he makes a tunnel system so he can get back to it and check on it if it tries to escape. Now, the Mimic sends out the Mimic baits Cassie into coming into the Pizzaplex to rescue it and free it. And Cassie almost does, and hence the events of, Ruin, the DLC for Security Breach. Cassie goes through. Roxanne Wolf is also apparently very important. Because reasons. And she goes through, finds the Mimic, and then she gets chased by it, and she's running away from the Gregory Mimic, who's trying to chase her and rip her arms off, because that's what it's been taught to do. And so she gets to the elevator of safety. But is it safety? Because Gregory shoots her down the elevator shaft. It's just like the real Gregory turns off the elevator and causes her to fall to her death. But she didn't die because in the end credits, you can hear Roxy go, Cassie? And so she's still alive, and that's what the sequel to that game is going to be. But, so she's still alive. Gregory is evil because he didn't want Cassie to lead the Mimic out of the Pizzaplex and also didn't want her telling anyone about it. And yeah, and now we make it to FNAF VR 2, Help Wanted 2, which is essentially the story of Mapbot, aka Cassie's dad, who's Nolan Cassidy from Hitman, right? So, because Janus, the person he's protecting, Russian oligarch, Nolan Cassidy knows about like this secret operation and knows about some of the secret stuff going on here with the FSB, and so he, works as security for the Pizzaplex, and then he's killed by Agent 47 and possesses Mapbot, and he tries to warn Gregory that he shouldn't go further by offering him terrible maps that are useless, but Gregory continues forward anyways, and then Vanny gets to him and converts him into Maskbot to give out the mask to Cassie to try and corrupt Cassie's brain, because over the course of the game, it's subtly hinted that Cassie is kind of like corrupted by the mask a little bit, and so she might turn into the next Vanny because of the mask having digital stuff to her brain. And so essentially he doesn't want to do this, but he's forced to, and he's forced to watch his daughter get corrupted. And then that ends Ruin, and then we end up in FNAF Secrets of the Mimic, where it's basically just
done yet? Oh my god.
Where it basically just, because technically the whole thing I explained with Edwin was in the books. And so basically the game is just you taking place as one of these guys in the books. And so the game doesn't have much lore significance.
So we're done.
Yeah. Unless you have any
Holy
questions.
shit.
Do you have
Nope.
questions? No
You
questions?
explained it pretty well. It was just so long.
Okay. Does it all make sense now?
No.
Okay. So essentially, where we're at is Vanny is possibly still around. Cassie is still around. Roxy is still around and is helping Cassie. Gregory is evil. And the Mimic exists.
Okay.
That's the state of it.
This
Anyways.
series fell off so hard.
Oh man, a lot of people say that if they ended it at Pizzeria Simulator, that would have been good.
I wonder why they say that.
Because guess what? William Afton, Circus Baby, Molten Freddy, everyone dies, and it's all ended, and the cycle of death is ended. But it's still going. And so yeah,
Okay.
that's the entirety of the FNAF lore explained.